What I want to start out with is really doing a good job of setting up your circle or your sphere. Um, 'Cause it helps me a lot to kind of plan through where the lines are going to go before you start actually drawing. I know that on the video we just watched, um, the guy didn't really plan it through, right? He just kind of put some lines down. He managed to put them perfectly, like where they need to go, and it worked out pretty well. Um, I don't think we're there yet, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up, especially for those of us who may be struggling a little bit, me included. Right? I had to do this twice before it kind of made sense to me. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to draw my circle again, just kind of doing a very light one first, and then kind of see what we can do. Also, if you have something circular that you'd like to trace, you can do that. I got my coffee cup. It's a little small. There's this Illy Espresso. Like if you have something like a jar like this, you can use that. I need it to prop up my camera, so I won't be doing that. I'll just draw it by hand, the good old-fashioned way. But if you want, you can start with an actual circle instead of a not actual circle. So just gonna mark out my circle, try to get it as accurate as I can. This is looking pretty good. Who knew? Turns out when you practice drawing, you get better at it. That's pretty all right. I'm gonna get rid of the extras over here. So yeah, remember, first step, you're just trying to make a circle, which in itself isn't the easiest. I know. I'm going to leave mine as pencil. I think you can see it pretty well. Go ahead and just switch it up because I never use pencil. All right. One thing we did forget to do the other day is to put our circle on a table. So we can go ahead and do that. Right. I don't know if that helps, but we've been doing it. So there you go. All right. Now, as per usual, the next step is to set up our light source. And I know we've done this a million times and you probably know what you're doing at this point, but I just want to go slow and make sure we pick apart each step of the process. So if there's any questions at any specific point, feel free to put it in the chat or just unmute and tell me. Right, doing a demo is all well and good, but asking questions is really going to help, I think, everyone else as well as yourself if you have any specific questions for any specific step. So we know that we're going to have a highlight somewhere over here, right? And that's going to be the area of the circle or the sphere that has the highest, it's the brightest, right? So we're going to have almost no lines there, right? That's the same thing as this over here. The highlight has no shadow, right? And on a sphere, it's a circle. It's a little tiny ovalish circle. What we're going to have after that is bigger and bigger circles that kind of show us where our different sections of value are going to go. And yesterday I just kind of did a swirl. I'm going to try to do it a little bit more slowly and try to draw out exactly where these things are going to be. Right. So this would be 0, this would be a 1. I'm trying to eyeball this based on what I've done in the past. Usually I'd give this to you on a piece of paper, but unfortunately we're going to have to draw it. Got 3. It's going to be tough to fit in 4 to 5, but we're going to try. There you go. just barely fits. All right, clean this up a little bit. 4, and last but not least a 5. And that kind of, I don't know, kind of looks a little bit more like what we've been working with, a little bit easier to see. Like I said, it's nice, and you make it look easy when you don't have to draw out exactly where these values are going to be. But again, right, so if you look at my shared screen, right, I'm trying to map out something like this. Right, I'm trying to figure out exactly where each layer is going to go, and it kind of like has this weird shape to it because of, because of the shape that we're working with, right? So these lines have to be contour lines, right? And our contour is a circle, so it makes sense that our areas of value, right, are going to be circles in themselves, or at least some version of a circle. Right. Try to get a little closer, I suppose. All right, so our next job is to start adding value. We're going to start the exact same way we started with hatching, because that's how we roll. I guess we'll continue to do that. So, all right, I'm going to switch over to a pen. I'm going to stick with blue because it seems to be lucky. Oh, snap. Shadows, guys. Shadows. Can't forget the shadows. Got a little shadow coming down here. Boom. That's going to be a 6. Tater. All right. So, first step is, doing the same thing that we did yesterday. We have one single line that's going from North Pole to South Pole. I'm going to leave that out because that's going to change a little bit now that we're using cross-hatching. Maybe this will clear things up. Maybe it'll make everything just way more complicated. Who knows? But I'm going to use my same light source line, right? So imagine that your light source arrow is coming straight through, kind of like that. So I'm going to start my line right here. Right, I'm going to stop when I get to the 0 or our highlight, and then I'm going to draw my line straight through, ending over here. Right, so that's our first line. It looks okay because it's dead center in the middle. Anytime you have a line going straight through the center of a sphere, you can make it straight, but only when it's straight through. So after that, I'm going to kind of try to do what the guy did. I don't know how well this is going to work, but now we have to start bending our lines a little bit, and I'm not going to start right at 0. I'm going to move a little bit out and see if I can draw like that. Right? So we're bending our lines a little bit, like so. And we're going all the way to the 0 because this is our first set of lines, right? So as we're evenly spaced out to the side, and we're just more and more, we're going to bend these lines and come all the way back. Might even put one on the edge, why not? There you go. That's just on the outside contour. So there you go, that's one side. I'm going to do the same thing with this side over here. Same amount of lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. So start it. And again, we're going to skip the 0. Right. A little bit further out. Again. Alright, so that kind of has the same look, right? It's the same thing that we did on the first try. And oftentimes, like the guy said in the video, hatching and cross-hatching start the same, but now we're going to switch it up a little bit, right? So now we've done this way line, so I'm going to make my list of lines up here. So we've gone this way with our lines. Now we're going to go this way. All right, so instead of going straight through this way, now we're going to switch up and go this direction. All right, now the center line is going to go straight through still, but it's going the opposite direction, and that's what makes it cross-hatching. The trick is we have to not draw our lines in this number 1. So we're going to avoid everything inside of the number 1 right here, that circle that I just outlined. Okay. So it should look like this. So again, finding the center. Now I actually have the luxury of just going straight through here. So I'm going to figure out where the center of my sphere is, and I'm just going to draw a straight line because it doesn't interfere with anything. Boom. Straight through. All right. Now I'm going to keep an eye on this one section, and I'm going to draw some slightly curved lines. Oop, got to stop at the 1, pick up on the other side, keep going. All right. Curve a little bit more, stop at the 1, curve back over, go again, keeping these lines evenly spaced, stopping at that 1 circle. And then this one maybe goes all the way across, right? Because the 1 circle doesn't interfere with that. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, except we don't have to worry about anything over here because this is all going to be darker because there is no 1 circle. That's crooked. There we go. So now we really kind of have that like globe look that I was talking about yesterday. It looks like straight up, something you find in a history classroom. You walk into Mr. Jablonski's class and you're like, hey, I know that. So there you go. That's what it is. Next, we're going to work on our 2 sections. So let me just outline that real quick. And we can erase this later. Oops. Right, so now we're working outside the 2, so we're going to ignore everything inside of the 2. Right, if I had a circular piece of paper, I would put it over it. Maybe I should have, who knows. We're going to go vertical now. Okay, so now our lines are going to start here and go through to the bottom like this. All right, and if you want, you can use a straight edge. Right, so we know that our lines are going to go straight through, but we know that we have to ignore everything inside of this 2 circle. So I'm going to put it up. Here's my 2 circle. It goes all the way to the top. So it looks like I'm going to start here at the bottom, and I'm just going to draw straight down. Okay, but see how I stopped right at the 3 circle? That's how it is. So here we go. We're going to add in and stop right there. Stopping at the 2. Now this is bending. We can get a little bit more value there. There we go. Switching over to the other side. Little bend. Stop at 3. No, 2. Sorry. See how my lines are ending right there, just like we've always done. It's starting to go a little crazy here. So there you go. I'm going to pause for a minute. I feel like I'm moving really quickly, so I'm going to give you all a minute to catch up. Remember, we've done diagonal lines. We've done other diagonal lines. We've done vertical lines. All right, and it's starting to take shape a little bit. We're definitely going to build it out here in a few seconds here. All right, I'm going to continue. Just want to outline our 3. So our 3 number is right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. But I just want to outline that space so we know where to draw and where not to draw. Okay. All right. So we've gone almost every direction except perfectly horizontal. So our next lines are going to go straight through. All right, we just got to keep an eye on our 3 circle. So this area right here is going to be what we ignore. And hopefully by adding value to that area, we're going to draw out our values a little bit more. So there you go. Just a little one. And then we're going to start adding lines, but they're going to be very short, right? Until we get around. Right, and we can start. And as we get further down the list, right, so we've gone a few different ways here. We're going to start adding a few more lines, I think, just to increase that value, right, because that's how it works. You know, the more lines you have, the higher value. Okay. And again, I'm going across, but ignoring my 3 spot. So just keeping in mind, this is my 3. So I'm going to start adding these curved lines, right? But I'm going to stop as soon as I get to that 3 section. Very important. Add in a few more lines just for good measure. So we start to see that difference in value. Looking pretty good. All right, so we're starting to see that 3 area pick up a little bit. And then last but not least, it's a little bit hard to see, but we have this 4 section. Looks like it's right here. It's hard to keep track. All right. So that 4 sections all the way at the bottom, it's basically just a little partial moon over here. And I'm going to go back to, sorry, there you go. I'm going to go back to this beginning. I'm going to go back there. So I'm going to start with a diagonal line. And I'm just going to fill in these lines, but I have to be careful not to make them too long. Again, now that the lines are super short, you don't have to be super worried about what direction they're going. Just follow the lines that you already have. I'm just creating more lines. Trying to stay in my little 5 section. And that's kind of what it looks like. So to help us kind of see what we've done, I didn't think we'd get so far. I don't know if y'all are with me or not. But what I want to do is take my eraser and I want to erase my guidelines and see what we look like. So getting rid of these circles. See where we have to add value, or maybe, well, that's the only option is to add value. So I'm just getting rid of the circles that we drew, kind of the guide that we had. Just erasing over the pen marks that I've made. Let's see what we look like. All right. So, yeah, there's parts of this that I like. I mean, it's not amazing, but I think it works in a lot of ways. I think we have a good value down here, but I think I want to carry that value a little bit closer in. So I'm going to start adding a few values. But always when I add value, I want to be careful about where I'm adding it, because you don't want to do too much, right? Also, always start at the darkest value and draw forward. That way that should help preserve your values and how they look. Again, preserving that highlight, just making sure that your values look correct. Sometimes what I like to do is just squint at it and see how it looks. And also just remember that your darkest areas are going to be down here in this bottom section. Just try to get all your values to match. Look like they go together, which is more difficult than it looks, for sure. Last but not least, working on your shadow. Going every different way. Maybe trying to get a little bit of value change as you go out to the edge. Something like that. Just carefully, like, again, once you're done with your work, you want to take a look at it and kind of see like what needs maybe a little bit more work. And this is something you're going to get with practice, and we will continue to practice these shapes. But just, directly looking, I did this one with marker, this one with a ballpoint pen, right? So this looks way different than this one does, especially with the differences in value, right? You got a much richer value down here than I do over here. But there's a lot more detail, a lot more direction, right? Just remembering to curve those lines to make sure that everything kind of works together. So I apologize, I ran this up pretty much to the end of class, but we'll check in on this tomorrow. What I want y'all to do before you go, and I apologize that it's so late, you'll have 1 minute, please send me a progress photo of what you have currently. So even if it's just hatching, if it's hatching and cross hatching, whatever, I just want you to kind of do one of these, snap a photo, email it to me at eskinner@cps.edu, and I just kind of want to see where you're at. See what we might have to go over tomorrow before we move on to other concepts. Okay, so send me that progress photo. Once you've done that, I'll see you later. Have a good day. Enjoy your Wednesday, and try practicing a sphere. Thank you, everyone.